What's up, everybody? It's your man right here, the one, the only, that beautiful Rhode Island Red Roots, the one, the original road warlords, and that's always bring you the knowledge and dropping the science in this industry of what we call trucking. Okay, doing this particular video from one that was dropped earlier today by the Wright brother, which is talking about trucking and relationships. And so, I figure I'm going to chime in and stuff and see, if I can put some science in on that, Because, everybody got their own take when it comes to trucking and, relationships in there and stuff. My history is that I had, 17 years in, I've been married twice. And my conclusion when it comes to trucking and relationships is that it's no different than any other relationship that you get into, regardless of what you are into, whether it's trucking or whether it's a 9 to 5, whatever and stuff. It all boils down to time at the end of the day. All boils down to time and stuff. And so, I always try to speak about things all the way down to a science. And so, the science is that it's only 168 hours. 168 hours and stuff is all you get in a 24-hour period for 7 days, right? So, this is why I say it don't matter what you do and stuff as far as what you do for a living and stuff like that. Because if you take that equation there, right, and you got 168 hours, 56 of those hours is already gone, in a 7-day period, because you got to sleep every day for 8 hours at least. So those 8 hours and stuff, then you got, okay, so you subtract 56 from 168, they leave you 112, right? Okay, then you got to work. And so most full-time positions require 40 hours a week. So you subtract 40 from 72, and you ain't got but 40 from 112, you got 72. So you got 72 hours to try to learn about yourself and learn about the relationship and whatnot and stuff. And so, this is what we dealing with. And stuff. So, you really don't have, time is just a factor. It's the contributing factor and stuff in any relationship. And so you don't have a lot of time to learn a person and stuff. So, people go the fast way of doing things, which is, you get into you meet somebody and stuff over the app or whatever and stuff like that, and then it's not even about getting to know a person because they don't have the time. They like, look, let's just get down to it. Because I don't have time, you don't have time, that sort of thing there and stuff, man. So time is, if I had to crack it down to relationship factors and stuff, man, it would definitely have to be the time, cause in my two marriages and stuff, I got married. My first marriage and stuff was when I was making my transition into trucking and stuff, and so she was there for that, and of course that didn't work out. It didn't have nothing to do with trucking. But it was just some excuses got used, and it was a cop out. It was a cop out when you look at it. And so then there was an intermediate period, because I didn't get a divorce right away and stuff. It was an intermediate period where we tried to reconcile and stuff. So we got back together and we did our thing and stuff. But it just didn't work out. It didn't work out and stuff because of a decision that I chose to make, which was I wanted to you know, I wanted to take a local position and stuff and be home a little bit more. Not because of her, but because, you know, it was just the whole trucking thing. I was a little bit burnt down and stuff like that. So, you know, I figured like, well, you know, if I could be home a little more, then, you know, maybe I can, you know, maybe I could do a little bit more things and stuff at the house. And so, you know, she just wasn't feeling that and stuff. So, you know, so we ended on that turn there and stuff. So, so then there was a point where I was just completely single. You know, I just refused to date or get out here and date or do any of that stuff there, you know. So, but I wasn't 100% thrown into, you know, trucking all the way and stuff. You know, I like to go to the track. You know, I like to go to the speed track on Friday. I like to go to a lot of parties and stuff on Saturday. And I got a motorcycle and stuff like that. So, you know, being in a relationship wasn't going to be very productive. So, you know, I just chose to stay away from it. And then, you know, going to a motorcycle event and stuff like that, you know, how I actually met my second wife. And so, you know, me and her and stuff, you know, we started dating and things like that. But, you know, again, this is like, you know, years into my career. So, you know, it was understood that, you know, what I did for a living and stuff like that, but it never really played a factor into, you know, our relationship and stuff. You know, what time we could spend together, we did, you know. And so it also introduced me to you know, raising children, you know, being around children and stuff like that. Cause I don't have any for myself, but, you know, she had children, so, you know, it put me in that role there and stuff. And so I became a stepfather to them and helped raise them up and stuff. And so, you know, as time progressed, and stuff, you know, everything gonna have its trials and tribulations. So when it came, you know, we wasn't able to stand the test of times and stuff. So, you know, but again, it didn't have nothing to do with trucking. You know, that was just, you know, she wanted to be at a different place and stuff than I was and stuff. And so, you know, see, when you love somebody and stuff, you got, you know, sometimes the ultimate form of love and stuff is to let them go and stuff and let them do the thing they want to do, you know, instead of holding them back, you know, because some people want to fight for something, but, you know, fighting is good if that's what the situation calls for. But sometimes, you know, you gotta let things and stuff be. You know, that's love right there, because sometimes you call yourself fighting for the benefit of relationship, stuff like that. You fight because you want to be with the children and stuff like that. And I mean, you know, but it still kind of ends in vain and stuff, you know, because if a person is dead centered on trying to do something, then, you know, that's what it's going to be, you know. And you know, I feel that we missed that mark. We missed that mark on identifying certain things and stuff that go on in relationship, you know. So that plays a factor there and stuff. But, you know, some things and stuff I hear guys talk about is that if they was to get into a relationship and then something was to happen, you know, if something was to happen, then I would have to come off the road and stuff like that. And again, I think that's a cop-out. You know, I think that's a cop-out, because, you know, it's got to be understood that this job right here, this is a job, okay? It's a career. It ain't something that, you know, just because we get up here and make, you know, YouTube videos and stuff like that, you know, with all the glitz and glamour, you know, people get the wrong misconception. You're thinking that you could just come and go as you please and stuff like that, and that ain't it. You know, a lot of people want to throw excuses out there saying, I ain't gonna be home for the child birthday, and I'm gonna miss this and I'm gonna miss that. But you could still be at home. You could be at home working your 9 to 5 and still miss all those things, you know, because you got to work to support your family. Bottom line. And so, any man, any righteous man and stuff is going to be a provider. At least that's what I done. In my relationship, any woman that was with me and stuff, they was with me, but I didn't let them pay any bills. I didn't let them pay any bills. If they made money, that was their money, but my money was to provide for the house, because I'm a provider, but that means that wherever I work and stuff, that's what it is and stuff. I'm in it because I know what I'm faced with. You know what I'm saying? So when I stepped into marriage, it was no different. It was no different. I was a provider. And so, people come up and say like, well, if something was to happen and I would have to come off the road and stuff again, I think that's a cop-out, because when you're a provider, then you understand that the job that you're working is that's your means of providing for that family. And so, to give it up and then just to go do something else because somebody wants you to be home, that's not no understanding. You see, when you're a provider, then, you have to, that's your job right there. And if your job is putting a roof over, if your job is putting a roof over the head, food on the table, and clothes on the back, then you got the basic fundamentals down pat. Because, you can't name one family. You can't name one family that can go without those three essentials. And so, it never, no one ever came to me, and no one can ever come to me in a relationship and give me that ultimatum and stuff about coming off the road and stuff like that. So, when I hear people say that, I tell them, man, don't lie on your children like that. Don't lie on your family like that. The reality is that what you're doing isn't enough to provide for them. And so you got to come out of that and go into something else, Kyle. People want to play Billy Big Rig and stuff, but then, it takes something to have to happen, some real stuff to have to happen, and then, while you was out here playing and stuff like that, now you hit with that decision and stuff, but then, people ain't gonna come out and just say what the real deal is, but instead they just put it on a relationship and say, well, I had to do this for my family and stuff like that. A lot of them get in the career, then they get out of it, they get back in it, when the reality is that what you doing, right, as a provider wasn't enough to provide for your family. So rather than doing the manly thing, right, which is to close shop and do what you got to do and stuff, but step up, right? If somebody asks you, you just say, well, okay, it was something dealing with the relationship. I had to save my marriage, so being home was the way to save the marriage. But now you faced with how do you provide for your family? You home every day, right? But how do you provide for them? Now you got to find another job and stuff like that, and those things, and now you saying you got to do those things quickly, when, coming out here and stuff, when you have a career, you got to have a plan in place and say, well, okay, I'm going to give it this amount of time, and then if this don't work, then we got to move to something else, instead of just jumping the gun and stuff like that. But, people want to, again, they want to get a false misconception about marriage and relationships and say, well, this what it consists of here, but then she told me that in order to save my relationship, I got to be home more. No provider is ever going to be hit with that ultimatum right there and stuff. Anybody that's respectful and righteous is going to understand, they're going to understand the sacrifice and stuff of what it means to provide. Bottom line, you know what I'm saying? So, if they don't understand that right there, you don't need to be in a relationship with them to start with. Cause again, you got to have food, clothing, and shelter. That's a fact. And so, you got to be pulling your weight. But again, time is a big factor and stuff too. And again, you only got 168 hours. And you got 168 hours. 8 hours of stuff a day, you got to do that for sleeping. Then, you know, if you're working a full-time job, that's another 40 hours right there and stuff. So you only got 72 hours. You know, see, everybody's hit with, there's no exception. You know, truck driver or not. You know, so again, time is the factor. You know, being a provider, that's the other thing too and stuff. But you know, that's what it means to be at the end of the day. You know, when you throw yourself 100% into it, you know, you can't just say, okay, because she wants you home more and stuff like that. There may be a decision, there might be a discussion or whatever, but you know, when you provide and doing what you're supposed to do, that woman understands that. She understands that and stuff, you know. But when she can't understand is that when you out here supposed to be a provider and you're not doing it, that's when those things really gonna be said to you. Like, look, you know, if you want to save this marriage, then you need to get somewhere where you can put some food on the table. You keep a roof over our head, keep some clothes on our back, because what you doing ain't cutting it. You know, you going home and you sitting there in the hole. You know, you sitting there in the hole and stuff, and you ain't making the money that's supposed to be made and stuff. You know, even though those things will come. You know, they'll come with whatever it is that you in. You know, but that's understood. But you know, if it's not, again, that plan is already put out there. I'm gonna give this a certain amount of time. After that, if it don't work, I'm gonna move on. You know, but that's the thing there. A lot of people want to play. They want to play truck drive and stuff like that. And then, you know, when the real nitty gritty, when the real nitty gritty in the city, you know, comes upon them and stuff like that, then they say, well, you know. And oh, it's a relationship. You know, I had to save my marriage. That's why I had to get out of it and stuff like that. You know, the thing is, you know, your marriage gonna be all right. If you a provider, your marriage gonna be all right and stuff. They gonna understand the fundamentals. They gonna understand the sacrifice. You know, so can't nobody be coming up and telling you you need to come off the road for the sake of your children. No, Jack. You know, I'm out here for the sake of my kids. I'm out here for the sake of my family. I ain't out here for my health. Of course not. You know, nobody wants to be out anywhere for their health. But when it comes to doing what you got to do for your family, you know, that's a given. But you know, people want to lie on their family and stuff and say, well, that's why I had to get out of it and stuff. I mean, you know, if you miss them, okay. If you miss them, that's all right and stuff. I mean, you know, but you still got to be a provider at the end of the day. You got to still provide food, clothing, shelter and stuff. So, you know, if you got a plan, you got to implement it. But, you know, if you in the trucking and you know, you in it, and it's a good business. It's a good way to provide for your family and stuff like that. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And that come, any sacrifice, anything that you get in is going to come with some sacrifice. But, you know, people think like trucking, it's like, it's different. It ain't no different than working any 9 to 5. Cause that's what trucking is. That's what trucking done got to now. It's 9 to 5. The only difference is that the clock now works, and you know, works against you as a driver and stuff. But you know, if you're working a 9 to 5, then the clock can be working in your favor. That's the only difference. Other than that, you still got a clock you got to hit. You still got to supervise. You got to own up to, you know. Whether you got your own authority or not, you still got a boss. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, trucking and relationship and stuff, I mean, that's my thing there. Is that if I had to look at it, it's that fundamental science and stuff. And so, you know, we can't sit there and say that, well, we're an exception to the rule when all of us go by that same guideline of time. You know, cause you can have everything else under the sun, but you ain't gonna never have enough time. Never. So, you know, clock against you. You got, you know, again, 168 hours in a week, 56 hours gone to sleeping, another 40 hours gone to working. What you got left? And you know, even in that 72 hours and stuff, you know, again, that's working. That's not talking about getting ready for work. They ain't talking about getting ready for work, coming back to work, you know, going to work, things like that and stuff. That cut into that 72. You know, you got to factor that in and stuff. And so, you see what the time and stuff is starting again to play against you. So, you know, when everything's said and done, how much time you got left to yourself. And so, you know, you got that. You got to share that. You got to share that with your significant other. And then that time and stuff got to be, that time right there's got to be matching up too, you know. So, you know, nobody's exception to the rule and stuff, man. I mean, trucking is no different and than any other 9 to 5 and stuff that you get. Time is just all the significance. And so, you know, if you equate that into your life and, you know, really look at the science of that, we see we really don't have a lot of time and stuff, you know. And those things there and stuff is important. And, you know, the survival of any relationship and stuff, you know, is using time wisely, you know. So that's my 2 cent Dan stuff, man. You know, I appreciate y'all time and stuff like that. Shout out again to the brother, to the right brother. Shout out to all the fam out there and everything. You know, continue doing what you got to do and stuff like that. It's your man here, the one, the only, that beautiful Rhode Island Red Rooster. Telling you as always, continue to do your research, fact finding studies. Harness on your skills every day. Until next time we talk, next time we meet, be safe, be easy, and peace out.